You know, when he first stepped in, it's funny. Brad Colbert was my team leader in Afghanistan. He had a very strict policy of not to talk to the reporters, not to interact with them or anything, because they're always going to spin shit. And plus, there's a lot of stuff that we have that's somewhat confidential that doesn't need to be going out into the media. And then when Evan showed up, Brad's kind of the first one that takes him under his wing. And I think I told Evan, I was like, one day I'll tell you the real story. But other than that, I separated myself from him. I lived in my vehicle. I actually stayed away from him. He didn't really interact with me too much until I was relieved later as a team leader. And I was relieved because some of the actions the reservists were actually doing and Captain America. And because I was frustrated, I actually went down and sat and talked to him for almost 8 hours. Captain America is Captain Dave McGraw. He was Bravo 3 platoon commander. He was pretty much the adjacent platoon commander to Lieutenant Fick. Before we deployed, I mean, he was a really, really sharp guy, genius. If you met him today, you'd probably like the guy. But for some reason, when we actually crossed into Iraq, I think he was probably just too smart for warfare. I mean, because all he was doing every time he survived the firefight, he analyzed more ways that he could possibly be killed. But for him, he did a lot of things that were very questionable. You'll see in episode 2 where he shoots an unarmed man. It's kind of hard to depict on the big screen. We were taking fire there, but this is where the rules of engagement are very gray. With our rules of engagement, if someone's on a crew serve weapon, by that like a machine gun, a belt-fed machine gun that takes multiple people, you can engage the guy on the weapon system and the guy that's around it. He doesn't necessarily have to be armed. From his perspective, that's what this guy was. And the guy was getting up and running away from a crew serve position, and Captain McGraw shoots him and kills him. Now, it's a gray area in the rules of engagement, but it's hard to depict that because either there's a machine gun there or not on the screen. From us, we could never really tell. So in that situation, did he make the wrong call? It's hard to say. He saw something that other people didn't see, and we got to respect that. The problem is he made a trend of making those mistakes. And there's a couple of the detainees he was trying to scare, like poking them in the throat with his bayonet, not actually causing damage, but asking if they've ever seen the Chechnyan soldier, and just doing stuff that was kind of like we had to pull back his reins and be like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? And with that, we had a reservist unit attached to us, and they saw some of his behavior, and somehow I got wrapped up into it. Later, all the charges were dropped, and I was explained the reason I was investigated was to clear my name later in the future, so these charges couldn't get brought up. But you got to realize I'm a 23-year-old kid running a 5-man team in combat. I'm making huge decisions that most 23-year-old kids don't do. So to add like an extra stress like that I'm going to get charged, my reputation's going to get tarnished. For me, it was like kind of heartbreaking. In the end, I think I was treated fairly. Everything worked out, but obviously being very emotional at the time with all the stress, I thought I was definitely being treated unfairly. Now that I look back, it's made me a better person, and I understand the struggles of people like Godfather and the choices they have to make. So it was actually probably the proper decision at the time for him, because I got a very myopic view of what's going on. He investigated hearsay, and then I was acquitted, and I had no problems.